I will solve these next two equations by completing the square. The first thing to do for completing the square is to get all of the constants over on the right-hand side. So for number 7 here, I'm going to subtract 40. And when I subtract 40, I will get this. K squared minus 14k equals negative 46. Now, completing the square requires a trinomial on the left-hand side, which means I'm going to now add a blank space as a new constant that I'm going to add to the left-hand side. Since I can't add something to one side of the equation and not do it to the other without keeping the equation balanced, I must also add that blank to the right-hand side. And so now I have a trinomial here, and I'm going to complete the square of that trinomial the way we practiced, where we're basically going to factor this thing at the same time as we're completing it. And that involves a two-step process where we divide by 2, so I'm going to get k minus 7 as my binomial in factored form, and then we take that negative 7 and we square it. And that's going to get the 49 up here. So I just factored the left-hand side, but at the same time I added 49 to the left-hand side of the equation. To keep this equation balanced, I must also add the 49 to the right-hand side. And now when I simplify the right-hand side here, I'm going to get a positive 3. This is the equation now I'm going to solve. And I can solve this new equation by method 2, taking square roots. So when I take the square root of the left-hand side here, I'm going to get just k minus 7, right? The radical negates the power of 2 that I had. On the right-hand side, I'm going to take the square root of 3. And remember, since that's a number, I need a positive and a negative root of 3. So I'm now at this stage in my equation. K minus 7 equals plus or minus the square root of 3. I need to get k by itself, which means I'm going to add 7 to both sides. And when I add 7 to a radical, especially a plus or minus radical here, I add or subtract that number right in front of the plus minus sign. That's going to get me k equals 7 plus or minus the square root of 3. Those are my two solutions. To break them apart separately, my first solution is 7 plus the square root of 3, and my second solution is 7 minus the square root of 3. Let's try another one. Over on number 8, my first job is to move the 9 to the right-hand side. I'm going to do that by subtracting 9 from both sides, giving me x squared minus 10x equals positive, 5 minus 9, negative 4. Now it's time to complete the square. I need to create a trinomial up top by including that blank space, making sure I include the blank over on the right-hand side as well, and then that trinomial will be factored into this format. I do that two-step process of completing the square where I divide by 2, negative 10 divided by 2 is negative 5, and then I square the negative 5 to get me 25. That fills in the blank in my trinomial. Since I've just added 25 to the left-hand side, I have to add 25 to the right-hand side. And the right-hand side of this equation now simplifies to 21. So here's where I'm at now. X minus 5 quantity squared equals 21. Let's solve this remaining equation by taking the square root of both sides. The square root of the left side becomes x minus 5. The square root of the right side becomes plus or minus the square root of 21. I need to add 5 to both sides. And when I add the 5 to the right-hand side, I'm just going to put that right in front of the plus minus sign, giving me with x equals 5 plus or minus the square root of 21. Breaking those solutions into 2, I have 5 plus the square root of 21 and 5 minus the square root of 21.